Hello everybody, in this video I'm going to be getting right into it with a Apple stock analysis, one of the very biggest market cap companies out there. And just jumping right into it, we can see that Apple's revenue and earnings have definitely slumped in the last 4 years. If you were to look into Apple's revenue and earnings up until about 2013, they were increasing majorly year over year, even doubling earnings in a lot of years. And with 2019's quarter one earnings being pretty low, it looks like 2019 is going to have lower revenue and earnings than 2018, which is definitely not good for Apple and shareholders. I'm sure everyone is extremely familiar with Apple's iPhone, but they also are huge in sales in the iPad, the Mac, and iWatch. And the main focus of this video is actually going to be on some of their more new products and services and how successful I think those are going to be going forward for Apple. And here we can see a chart provided by Statista where Apple's iPhone sales have become a major part of their revenue up to 2016, and it's actually stagnated in 2016, staying around 60 to 65%. And this is definitely bad news for Apple. They basically have all of their eggs in one basket right now. And Apple's starting to do some pretty drastic changes to their business model in order to change that and make the iPhone a smaller percentage of their total sales. And here we can see Apple's total sales in billions in almost the last 20 years. And sorry about finding this chart that's a couple years outdated. They have actually done some success in increasing sales in the last couple years. But to see the growth that they had in the earlier years, they're definitely going to have to start branching out into some new industries. A couple of reasons that the iPhone has definitely started slowing in sales is because in the earlier years of Apple, people were switching over from their flip phones to iPhones, and also the Apple iPhone batteries were a lot worse in the earlier versions of the iPhone, and people were having to switch over to a new iPhone every year or two just because their battery would get so bad and they were having to charge it every few hours. But now the iPhone's battery is pretty good, so that can last several years, so they're not having to replace them nearly as often. And now that just about everyone has a smartphone, we're not seeing nearly as many people switch over from different brands to Apple. Another reason I think Apple's iPhone sales have definitely slowed in growth is that they're not being marketed to absolutely everyone, and not everyone can afford the newest iPhone. In the earlier years, they were selling for $300 or $400, and then a couple years later, $500-$600, and now $1,000, which a lot of people definitely cannot afford a $1,000 iPhone. Apple also has a few services that they offer on the iPhone, which make a pretty steady stream of revenue every year and will continue to do so for several years to come, even if iPhone sales continue to slow down in growth. Apple is also starting to get into streaming and being a big competitor of Netflix by offering Apple TV. It will be very interesting to see how Apple TV develops as it needs to compete with Netflix and Disney's new streaming service. Disney's new streaming service will offer the Pixar movies, all of the Disney feature films and classics, as well as the Marvel movies and Star Wars movies, and then Netflix is obviously the biggest in the streaming market right now, so it's going to be really interesting to see what Apple can bring to the game. And if you think about it, Netflix does not need to focus on anything other than making successful shows, and Apple has about 50 different huge products that they're releasing and products they need to focus on and different services. So Apple's really going to need a ton of starting capital and a lot of focus and money to really get this thing going and make it successful and make people want to buy it with some successful shows. And the new Apple product that I am most excited about is the new Apple credit card. The credit card is going to be available to everyone, and it's just going to be a matter of what your credit limit is based on your credit score. And it's said that it's going to be extremely easy to sign up for on an app and easily accessible to absolutely everyone, but it's not just a digital credit card. It also comes in a titanium form in the mail as well for a physical card. And it looks very sleek, very new, very different. I'm really looking forward to it. And I may sign up for it myself. I have to learn about the different benefits that come along with it. And then this, I just found this morning, as you can see, just 2 hours ago, Apple continues expanding into healthcare by selling its first diabetes product in store. I followed the news pretty closely, and I had no idea that Apple was continuing to expand into healthcare. And I personally think this is a pretty bad play by Apple. I think healthcare is not something Apple should be getting into, and I don't think it's going to be profitable in the near future unless Apple really puts a ton of money into it. Apple is a tech company, and I think they always will be, so I think them trying to branch this far out is kind of a desperate play and should not be done. Overall, I think Apple is a very safe investment for your money, but I do think there are some better investments out there, especially as Apple's sales are starting to slow. I think they've got some new, very exciting products that are going to expand their business model and make a lot of money for their business, but I do think there are some businesses out there with a lot better growth. I have actually done some videos on my channel of stocks that I think are a much better long-term investment than Apple, if you want to go check that out. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions on Apple or on stocks in general, and subscribe for more content. Thank you so much for watching.